Hey everyone, welcome to podcast number 108. Slowly climbing that ladder. Hopefully you guys been staying out of the heat. It's been a hot one here in Alberta.
It's been a hot one here for 2 months.
It's fair. The smoke is the only thing that's keeping the heat down, or else I'm pretty sure it would be a lot worse.
Absolutely. It's just crazy. It's so weird driving around Edmonton and just like seeing nothing but dead grass everywhere. I don't think I've ever seen it, but there's no moisture anywhere. It's insane.
How's it in your area, Dara?
Yeah, we're in BC, guys. I'm on vacation here. We're coming at you from a different venue tonight. I know things might look a little different out there, but we're Kimberley, BC. You know, smoky. It's not the super smelly, but you can't really see the mountains and kind of the vast views out here. But sort of yesterday and a couple of days before, just sort of got a little bit of rain, so it starts to clear things up a little bit. And today it's opening up a lot. So actually, even right now, honestly, it's like blue sky, beautiful, super nice. And we haven't seen it like that for the week that we've been here. So yeah, with that said, it's beautiful blue sky. I'm heading home tomorrow, so I probably won't make it on the show for the whole show there. Guys, sorry to disappoint you here tonight. You like my new hat though? Hey, Dexter, I'm on the Dexter train.
I love it. It's so good. It's the best one.
You notice anything different?
Sticker going.
Oh, you took it off? Wow. Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
I know.
You're growing up.
It was a big move.
I like it. Yeah. All I know is that it's the best hat that we're going to see on this show today, without question.
Yeah.
Like my curvature. Yeah. Anyway, so we golfed out here. I don't know if anybody knows the old golf. I don't know if you're going to check into a couple of bowling alleys out here. I was messaging you guys, and that'd be kind of cool thing to chat about is what bowling centers, the Valley Lanes, I think I said, in Invermere. Valley Alley and Juniper Lanes in Cranbrook. I was thinking about stopping by and saying hi, but today I was going to stop by the Juniper ones in Cranbrook. They're about half an hour away or so from Kimberley, and they were closed, so I didn't get a chance to stop in. So today was a rainy day, so we drove into Kimberley and watched the Jungle Cruise. Yeah, took the kids to a movie date, you know.
It's nice to be able to go and do those things again, eh?
Yeah, it was a good movie, man. Yeah, it was super good. Yeah, it was good.
So I have to say that I'm a little bit disappointed in Carrie right now. You know, we really didn't have a podcast last week. We had didn't have a podcast the following week, and he had no nicknames made up for us already. He had 3 weeks to come up with nicknames, and he didn't have anything ready for us.
So Tim,
yeah,
you didn't have guests lined up for 2 weeks, so I really don't have a problem with no nicknames.
Oh wow! You know what? You should have been prepared.
Hey, it came together.
So, big news for Olympic fans. Andre DeGrasse this morning takes down the gold medal in the 200-meter men's final.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
He's been this morning.
Yeah, he's been chasing a gold medal for a while, so congrats to him. That was awesome. Did you guys happen to get up and watch it?
I watched the replay.
I didn't watch it live, no, but I watched, that was the first thing on the Twitter feed this morning was the Andre DeGrasse kind of thing. So, yeah, that and Brooke Henderson, see how she's doing in the golf.
Yeah. She had a rough first round, but
rough first round. Quick change, eh? No, but awesome for Andre DeGrasse. Like, he got the bronze and now the gold. Super, super cool. I was interested. He ran the outside in most of his heats, hey? He was in lane 8 for most of them. It was kind of interesting. Usually the fastest guys are in 4 or 5, right?
Yeah, I don't know. In the 200 meter, I think you want the outside lane because you have less of a curve to run the first portion. So the outside lane, the better.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that at all.
Usually in the 100 meter, you want the inside lane because it's closer to, I believe, the marksman that tells you to go or whatever, the gunfire or the click or whatever. But for the 200 meter, I don't think the quickness right off the bat is such a huge deal. So you want a less sharp turn at the curve, is from what I understand.
That's awesome. Interesting.
It's quite the story about how he got into running, though. Have you guys ever hear about that? Yeah, how he just randomly showed up to a track meet, thought there was girls there, and he didn't even do a starting position in high school. he just stood up and he was wearing ball cleats and he just was dicking around and he made the Ontario finals and somebody saw him. He's like, yeah, this guy might be good, and he decided to play it. But he was a basketball player, so he seems pretty level headed, right? So,
Well, that's awesome. And
So that's cool, Kathy.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah,
Nice.
he seems like a super down to earth, really nice dude. Yeah, congratulations to him. You know,
Yeah,
I
Mark-
was hoping for him in the 100-meter too, but the guy is absolutely built. He's built to do the 200-meter for sure.
Yeah. And he still got the personal best, I think, or something like that in the 100, which is awesome,
And-
right?
Yeah, and he did a national best too. So
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
we-
What's this about? He runs faster than McDavid skates. They said
Okay,
that's
can
an
we just
interesting
address
comparison.
this really quick? Cause
Yeah,
like,
but I
I've
like this comparison. I was blown away by it.
It's a garbage comparison. Okay, it's two completely different things. I mean, like I respect him completely, but 100 meters versus 200 feet is a completely different thing. You know, you put McDavid into a 100 or a 200 meter straight away, he's going to gain way more speed than he normally does. He just can't get up to speed in 200 feet. Right?
Yeah, I feel like we need to see a race of this straight on. Like remember what was it? Who Ben Johnson ran against the horse?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they need to do this side by side comparison of McDavid versus DeGrasse
Totally.
or the
Honestly.
guy like
Both super fast, but anybody
Yeah.
who thinks that McDavid can't get up to that speed in 200 meters is like lose.
yeah,
They're
I
not
don't think
thinking that through.
I don't think that's a fair comparison. They would have to compare it to like a speed skater, right? Like
Yeah.
if a speed skater can get up to those speeds or that situation, like McDavid isn't like he's not trying to break speed records. He's trying to get down the ice, right?
Yeah,
it's a little bit
he's
different.
only going 67 meters.
Could they do something like they could have an exhibition? Like could they like had Skydome versus Donovan Bailey versus Michael Johnson that one time? They could have an ice
remember
rink
that
one
too, the
side, and then they
200
can have a
meter.
running
Yeah.
one beside it. Yeah.
Apparently, there's a place in Calgary that has that, where it's like a straightaway ice rink, and there's like a straightaway, foot
That's
race
awesome.
right side by side. So, yeah,
Maybe
could
we
be-
can bet on something like that. Open
be
up
awesome.
the bets.
maybe we need to see somebody crop a couple of videos that are showing a fastest skater around the ice, because the fastest skater does the around at
Well, yeah.
their all-star game, right? That's the thing that they do. So how far is it they do that, and how long does it take them to go that distance, right? Versus how long does it take for a 100-meter person to run that distance? Let's see that side-by-side video comparison. There's a request out there. Tyson already knows what I'm talking about. He's like, I'm on it. Yeah. So there's that 400-meter hurdle, guys, that he talked about too. How about the biggest story too is the women's soccer beating the USA and now going for gold medal. How unreal was that?
Oh, it's so good. You know what? The funny thing about it is like watching and seeing all the comments from the Americans and how happy the the entire United States is for Canada beating them. It's really interesting seeing
yeah.
it. There's like just the saltiness that kind of came with that that loss and whatever, and the Americans are not about it. They're actually happy for Canada. So yeah, kudos to them. Super cool.
Yeah, they're kind of like, good. I'm glad they didn't win again. I didn't want to hear it for another 2 years.
It's not Abby Wambach. Who's the other girl on that team?
Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah, and everybody hates that.
Did you see that one video? She went and gave like the hug to Jessie Fleming, and that kind of that awkward tap of the neck as she was walking by her, tapped her on the neck, and then kind of felt like, oh, maybe I did that too hard, and then forced herself to turn around and give her a hug while she was on camera. Like it was a weird sort of exchange. Like, oh, okay, like that was weird. So, yeah.
And then all the comments after, I don't know. I'm super comments from Megan. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
It is
I don't
what
know.
it
I've
is.
never lost to Canada. Like, well, you
Yeah,
just
it's like,
did.
You obviously never want to lose to Canada. I don't think I ever have lost to Canada. Well, yep, there you go.
Yeah,
But
well,
just it is what it is. The competitive people show just a touch of class. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
it's not like Canada has been like bottom 20 team for like the last 40 years. They've been constantly in the top 10, if not the top 5 team for quite a while.
Exactly.
So to lose to them isn't such a big shock, but to make a comment like that just it clearly shows the true color, right?
Absolutely. And then on the flip side of that, you get to watch the men's high jump. I don't know if anyone saw the clips of that.
Yeah,
That was cool.
Yeah, super cool. The one guy, I can't even remember where they were from, but one
Qatar.
guy who was
Qatar.
Qatar, right? And the other one was it Greece?
No, Italy
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
No, it wasn't Italy.
yeah.
It wasn't
Anyways.
Italy. But yeah, so the guy from Qatar was is like the best there is, but they're the best of buddies, and it came down to a jump off, and they said it was too close. They had to continue the jump off, and
Yeah.
the guy, the
was cool.
best in the world, looks at him and goes, "Well, can we get 2 golds?" And absolutely, it was Italy. Okay,
Yeah.
can we get 2 golds? And
welcome.
like, let's
He was
do
so
it. Let's
happy.
hit
Hey, they
history.
were both
Oh,
so
man.
happy. They were so happy about
Absolutely. It was
Yeah.
so cool to see. Just
Yeah.
great sportsmanship. I love seeing that. It was awesome. Super neat.
it. The decathlete guy. Hey,
Oh yeah,
Both are
See?
decathletes. They're crushing
both are
it.
decathlete guys. Yeah. Damien Warner,
Mm-hmm.
crushing it.
Yeah. So I guess I'm a little bit oblivious to this. When does the women's decathlete start? Are they like next?
They
week?
have already.
Oh, they
This
have
is
as well.
Greenwood, Ellenwood, blonde girl from Canada. And she's a rocket. Ellenwood. I want to say somebody will help me out there, but there is a female decathlete that's going on. Yeah. The girls here we've been tied to the Olympics. We're on holidays obviously here in Kimberley, and we basically the only thing I've kind of want to watch on TV with teenage girls and people is like just put on the Olympics, please. So that's the in and outs of coming here and going there. We got a pool right across the street. We got it's been
My parents have
awesome.
been the same. They've been absolutely glued to it, which is like I wasn't expecting it, but it was mom's birthday here in July there, and we got her a TV so she could bring it out and watch the Blue Jays out on their new deck and stuff, and they've been flipping it on to the Olympics, so watching the Olympics till after midnight, which is something my parents just don't do. So it's super cool to see. I'll be honest, I haven't watched hardly any of it because just the timing of things and whatnot, and I'm kind of sad I'm missing it. I'm more of a Winter Olympics person anyways, but kind of sad to watch some of the kayaking and stuff today, and it's fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, we played a huge ball tournament on the weekend, so we were hoteling it in between. Every time we were at the hotel, the Olympics were on the whole time.
I saw that, Carrie. What was that all about? You were like intermediate champs?
Yeah, it was just a tournament in Leduc there. One of the big ones, like the Miller Lite tournament or whatever. Our team hasn't played together in probably, I'd say, 3 years. So we decided instead of going competitive, we go play intermediate. We put our team together, and we were lucky enough to walk away champs. So it was fun. Yeah.
That's awesome.
What position do you play when you do that?
Middle infield. So usually shortstop, sometimes second base. Depends if I can pick up a ball that day or not.
That's a high pressure, hey? High pressure center infielder guy. Like you're seeing a lot of actions come at you. You got to be on the
slow
ball.
Pitch, not so much.
You got to be on the ball to you got to be agile out there, don't you?
Only if the guys hit it hard on the ground. Otherwise, it's always over your head. Everybody hits into the outfield. Slow pitch. It's a pretty easy game.
Oh, so you got to be waiting for the throw on the inside then, or the relay guy.
Hopefully a double play once every couple games is fun to do.
Yeah. What do you play for? What's your where do you hit in the lineup? Wait, it's interview carry time. No,
Lead off.
Oh yeah, get on base, carry. Get one on there, carry. Yeah.
That's all I do.
Yeah, out of the way.
All right. Well, we might as well pay some bills and get this podcast rocking and rolling, eh?
You sound like Wayne's World.
Hey,
what do you mean? We haven't
forever.
been going yet. We're just going to start now. Then is that what's happening?
Everybody just listens to our stupid conversation, and some people chime in because they want to hear the same stuff. But most people are here for our guests, so we should bring them on in. First of all, I just want to thank everybody that has subscribed to our Patreon. We can't thank you guys enough. This podcast wouldn't be possible without you. As little as $2 a month, you can be a patron too and help support us directly. And we send out discount codes for our merch and all that good stuff. And hopefully with this this fall rolling up, we'll be able to put out some videos for our patrons only and all that good stuff. Also, want to thank Alley Cat Brewing.
I need to go get some more.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
For donating our drink of the week. Today's a full moon, so it should be good. Tim,
Good job,
what are
Carrie.
you drinking?
Good job, Carrie.
Oh, yeah. All right, and All-Star
It's
Bowling...
something he's not allowed to say. He's contractually obligated not to say.
Yeah. And All-Star Bowling Sales, once again, being our weekly podcast sponsor. We're going to run our commercial, and then we'll bring in our special guest. So, without further ado, was originally from Winnipeg, went to Northern Ontario, and is back in Winnipeg, I do believe, right? Is that how it went? Well, I guess we can ask him directly. Sorry, Dex. Tyson Nelson.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Not bad. How are you doing, man?
Can't complain. We're finally starting to open up things this weekend.
Yeah, we hear
Right.
the mask mandate is gone and all that good stuff, is it?
Yeah, it sounds like everything's pretty much opening up 100%. There's just a few things left where you still have to be double vaxxed to do them, but the mask mandate is pretty much going away.
It's awesome.
It's freedom, I tell you. It's a lot different.
Tyson, you changed your hat from the pregame show to the Patriots, did you?
Yeah,
you went
this
from
one was just for Dex.
You went from
You-
champion. What's going on here?
You make me
You're
wanna
all about the
vomit, so-
dynasties, are you?
Exactly. You just cheer for like the evil empires, eh?
Yeah.
Except for in hockey. In hockey, I'm a Hurricanes fan.
Okay.
Oh.
I can get behind that. The rest of this is trash.
Who were the Hurricanes before? Weren't they
The
Hartford?
Whalers. The
They
Whalers.
were
they were
Hartford
Hartford.
Whalers, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was before my time.
Hey, be nice to Daddy.
For our listeners out there, he was wearing a Yankees hat earlier, and I really don't know which is worse. I really don't. I cannot believe the Yankees got Rizzo.
That was such a good pickup, honestly. He's done so well too. I think they said he was the first Yankee to get on base 8+ times in his first 2 games.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. He's one of my absolute favorite players. I can't believe he went there. It just kills me on the inside. Like,
What's going
Well-
on in the baseball these days? Like where are they at in the season wise? I don't really follow baseball too much.
They're
we got about
2/3 through.
60
Yeah,
60
it's like
games left.
120, I think.
Yeah.
110 maybe.
So still 2 months of regular season left, and the Blue Jays are in the mix in the wild card. They're a few games away. Yeah, and the Yankees are above them, and so is
Boston.
who else?
Boston
Boston.
and the A's, yeah.
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 I think the
For-
Blue Jays
for
are
wild
what,
card.
3 games back? 4 games?
Three and a half.
Three and a half, yeah.
But they're up 8-0 right now against Cleveland, so yeah, that's a
I
good
think
start.
I think the Blue Jays added a few key pieces, and now they're playing at home again, and I think you're really gonna hopefully see a lot of their momentum start to pick up and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. They picked up, shored up their starting pitching and their bullpen, and we don't have to shore up our bats. That's for
No.
sure. So, yeah, they look like a whole different team. Gave up a lot for Barrios, but you know what? At least we got control of him for another year, and it's the Blue Jays have got to be the most fun team to play on. So hopefully he sticks around after.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't have to watch Dolis pitch anymore, and then
he's
we'll be all good.
Yeah, fair
Yeah,
enough.
and Springer's been playing okay and actually contributing here lately.
Yeah,
He's
hit
4 for
another
4
home run
today.
today. Yeah.
4 for 4.
Nice.
He's a triple away from the
Nice.
cycle today already. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, mom and dad are actually leaving tomorrow to watch them in Toronto. So
Oh, nice,
they're
sweet.
seeing a game Friday, doubleheader Saturday and Sunday as well. So
Oh,
So
good for them.
they got
That'll
a
be
couple of
wicked
the
trip.
15,000 tickets.
yeah,
They did for
Good
each
for them.
for every game, and
That's
they were going to
awesome.
be there Sunday, and they weren't going to go to the game on Sunday. I'm like, Mom, what are you going to do? She's
Yeah,
like, what do you mean? I'm like, if you're there, you're going to be. I know who you are. You're going to be sitting there either in the hotel room or you're going to be in a pub watching the Blue Jays game. Why are you not getting tickets for that one too? So
Go
they did.
watch
They
it.
got tickets, and they were like, she was looking at hotels and stuff, and I was like, stay at the one that's like overlooks the field. Why
Yeah.
not? And they didn't want to rent a car and drive around everywhere, so they ended up staying there. It's awesome. I'm so excited for them. It's going to be so good.
Have they ever been to
What
a Blue Jays
about-
game before?
Oh yeah. So my mom wasn't a big baseball fan until she went to a baseball game, and now it is religion to her. Like it is, she will not miss a game. It's insane. So yeah, just had to go to the first one, and now she's in love. Yep.
What is this? Boston? Oh my god.
Wow. Well, Kathy, we had a good run with you.
yeah.
No,
What
there's-
what local sports do you like there, Tyson? Are you like hockey? What's your NHL team? Are you a Jets fan, or are you sort of
probably
Well,
Hurricanes.
I'm a Hurricanes fan.
right? Yeah, we already talked about that. Jesus. But not a local Canadian team, I guess. Or like I don't know.
No local Canadian team. I'm actually an Oilers fan.
Guys, I'm on
Nice.
holidays here, man.
All right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like
I'm
you
on
again.
holidays.
You're
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I
Jet-
figured I
Jets
got
would be
about
my
another
number
6
two in
minutes here,
Canada.
guys. So yeah.
Okay, Kathy redeemed herself.
All
We're
right,
okay.
perfect. Thanks, Kathy.
We're okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of local sports, CFL starts this weekend too. Not that I really care too much, but we had a what?
Aren't they an XFL league now? I thought. What
No,
happened?
no. It is still still
not yet.
CFL.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But so we had a lightning storm here last night, and no rain, but lightning. And there's a video of it. Lightning struck the jumbotron at Commonwealth Stadium, and it just went kaboom.
Wow.
So we'll see what happens with that. Yeah.
Wow. Hey, local. I want to talk about this for a few minutes of bowling stuff related. In my travels is the bowling alleys that are in Cranbrook, BC, and Invermere. And I was looking to know if anybody knew if any of our listeners or people watching who owns or runs or bowls out of Valley Lanes, I think, in Invermere, and also Cranbrook. It's called Juniper Lanes. I looked them up, but I hadn't. They weren't open at the times that I was driving by. So, and it's kind of neat to know all these little unique individual bowling centers throughout our provinces, right? I mean, sure, all of us have been on travels and sort of like, oh, who's this unique little bowling center you don't want to check out? So,
Totally.
you guys don't know anybody? Tim, you were saying something about one of them, Mark Graff's parents. You
Mark
might know,
Graff's parents play out of Cranbrook. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so they moved there like a couple years ago, so they started playing out of there. So yeah, that's the only person I know who plays out there. But
Right.
they're out of the Okanagan now, right? So
Yeah,
and in Vermeer, the only person I knew who played out there for YBC was Katie Rayner's dad. Played a couple years out there for YBC, but he's no longer there anymore, obviously. But but that bowling alley's been there forever. So
if anybody listens to this future podcast, if any of you know or somebody, let me know who it is that owns or runs these places. It'd be kind of cool to connect a little bit because I might come through this place a couple times a year. It'd be kind of cool to stop by and say hi to a unique bowling center. I don't know. They'd be kind of cool. Apparently, one of them's Wood Lane still, so I'd like to learn a little bit more about a couple of the centers up here. It's such a beautiful area, right? I don't know if Radium has one, right? I know Jasper has a little bowling center, right? So there's Kelsey. Thanks, Kelsey. That's good to know. Juniper was bought by an investor, so if there's anybody that we know bowl out of there, I don't know. Which night is league night? Can I get in on league night at Juniper Lanes or what? Just going to be on the road this year, guys.
So yeah, some sad news out of Northern Ontario this week. Fort Frances is shutting down. It's really unfortunate. One of Arnie's places. Sounds like Arnie's other two places are still going to be up and running, but that's a big loss to the community up there. I don't know where the next closest bowling alley is for that.
That's
Do
too
you
bad.
know it all, Tyson?
Probably Kenora, I think. I think Kenora just said. I think they just reopened their bowling alley. I saw the other day.
I saw them advertising it or something like that, right?
How far away is that?
Oh, it's a few hours. The
Wow.
the true Northern Ontario guys would have to correct me on that one. Or yeah, Dryden. Dryden would be the other option.
And how far away is Dryden? Do you think?
Well, between Kenora and Dryden, it's about an hour and a half, so it's about 3 hours.
There you go.
That's crazy. That'd be like us driving to Red Deer to go bowl league.
There needs to be some sort of a Canadian 5-pin bowler's passport, right? All these bowling centers that you've played at, you get a stamp at each place that you go to. Okay, stamped and signed off by one of the workers that signed you in. Hey, can you sign my passport, please? Maybe it's a digital passport. I don't know. It's something.
Digital
Right?
passport would probably be a little bit easier.
Yeah, probably they're carrying around a passport. Like, hey, man, here's my passport. Fuck. I know, but come on, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. You need to promote people going to and playing different houses, right? Instead of just always playing the same ones and stuff like that. I think that's
We need a
good idea.
hashtag for like a different bowling center, something like that. There needs to be a tagline for you.
Well, wasn't there one player who went and did like 100 lanes or something in 100 days?
Terry Burns, yeah.
Terry
Yeah.
Burns, yeah.
That was awesome. One side to the other, documented. So cool. Did you write a book about it? Do you know? Did you
That
write
was
a book,
sponsored.
or where is the stories? I remember recalling Facebook posts. Did you write a book, or how did you collect that info? I want to just like, how did that come? Because the reason why I asked, guys, is up here in Kimberley, actually a really unique thing is that they have a Kimberley underground mine railway system. And one day we went and did this tour. It was a 2-hour tour, and hopped in this little train and drove our way into this little mine shaft. And they showed us and demonstrated how the workers would have got in there and brought out the iron ore, and the fascinating story for the time, right? So where was I going with this again? What was I talking about?
You've been in BC too long.
Yeah, there you go.
I was going somewhere with this. What was I talking about?
Oh no.
Oh man.
Was the Terry Burns thing, Tim? Wasn't that kind of sponsored by C5? Didn't they help him with that?
I don't honestly. I that was before my time. I'm searching it up right now.
There's
I remembered.
I can't wait to hear it, TV.
sorry, guys. The guy that was giving the tour, he was the miner inside the tour shaft. After we got off the train and we go inside, and he's in his outfit, and he told us that he worked at the mine for 38 years. He's still living, right? He started there in 1962, and does these tours now and educates people about it. Super cool. But he has his book, and he ended up publishing this book. And of course, I went into the gift shop after and I bought old Bill Roberts' book, right? And it was just all about compiling stories of ex-miners and all the past history of that, right? So I thought, just, obviously translating to bowling is the 100 bowling centers, right? So
Yeah, there's a ton of articles written by it, written about it. Sorry, so we can share some of those to you. And to
There
our
you go,
listeners as
Daryl.
well.
Dave Wendell plays out of Cranbrook.
oh yeah, nice work. BCA is a single. Nice work. Thank you, Kelsey. See, you just got to ask the questions, guys.
That's right.
Yeah, anyways, good stories, but that should probably be a good time for me just to take off, guys. I know Tyson's story. I'm going to go here. Good conversation. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Daryl.
Yeah.
It's been an
People
absolute
enjoyed it.
pleasure.
Have a good chat bowling wise. Thanks, guys. Take care. Have fun, everybody.
See you, Daryl.
All right.
We're off to a great start, guys. We're doing good. We're doing good.
All right. Well, maybe let's talk a little bit of bowling now with Tyson, right? So, Tyson, we talked a little about you started in Manitoba, right? But you weren't actually from Winnipeg. You were from a small town in Manitoba, correct?
Yeah, so I'm originally from It's about 25 minutes north of Winnipeg.
Sorry, where did you say you're from?
Stonewall, Manitoba.
Stonewall. Okay, your audio cut out just specifically for where you were.
Oh,
It was odd. Okay.
yeah. Sorry,
Stonewall.
we're starting to get a bit of a storm, so I might cut out every once in a while.
That's okay. That's all right.
But yeah. So my home lanes it's a 6-lane center. It's all wood, no shields, no rubber, or not no rubbers, but old. The rubbers probably haven't been changed in 20 years. I'm pretty sure the rubbers they have on right now are the same ones I started with in Bantams.
Crazy. It sounds like Stonewall is a great place.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's good.
So how'd you get into bowling then?
So I actually got into it just because, so the bowling alley used to be about a block and a half from where I lived. And it was just one of those things where we would have that kind of like community day when all the sports would show up at our local hockey rink. And you could walk around, sign everyone up for, baseball, soccer, just kind of all like the school year sports. And there just happened to be one for the bowling alley. And we figured, you know what, it was a weekend thing. It was right down the street. Might as well just give it a shot. If I didn't like it, it was just, it was a 1 year of it. Do it and then don't come back. But ended up liking it, so.
Yeah. That's how Wetaskiwin still does its local community sport sign up and stuff. That they rent out the drill hall and they have all the community sports set up booths and you go sign up for your winter sport or whatever like that. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you started as a bantam?
Yeah, I think at that time maybe it was Pee-wee, which I guess would just be, a subdivision of Bantam.
Correct, yeah.
Because I would have been, I guess, 8, I think. I would have been about, so I believe that's Pee-wee.
8 would be first year bantam.
Okay,
8, 9, 10 is bantam, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do 2 games or 3?
I think I did 2 for like a month, and then they...
I was going to say, I think he still does 2.
but like I never started 2 hands. I always started one-handed.
Totally.
So many people don't know most of the stuff when we talked about you were self-taught. You had some coaching out there, but not a whole lot of coaching, right, Tyson?
No, so most of the coaches out here were people who, they had kind of been the guys who were like the rec league players who ended up having kids. So they kind of just transitioned into being coaches that way. So technically they weren't as sound. A bunch of them were, maybe the higher end were like 190, 200 bowlers. But that was like the upper kind of echelon of the coaches we had. And so a lot of them they were just, athletically gifted, but they weren't necessarily technically sound. So there wasn't a whole lot of technical advice I could get kind of growing up.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If they're not exposed to that information, they're not going to be able to pass it on. You can kind of learn things and pick things up. I mean, there's certain things that can translate from sport to sport. But if there are definitely a lot of things in 5-pin bowling that are specific to 5-pin bowling. And if you don't have that information, that's tough. So then you slowly just progressed on your own until you got to where you are. Being in a tough center is a good place to learn how to, work on things.
Well, and that was the thing, like, I never really realized, I guess, how tough my center was until I started going to tournaments where I'd go at the tournament, you would be, 20, 30, 40 pins higher. Because suddenly now I'm going to these centers where my hard chops and my pocket corners are now starting to turn into strikes. So, like, even my last year of YBC in Manitoba, which was 2014, I was only a 210 average in-house. But then, at the same time, I'd go to tournaments, and I was averaging, 230.
Totally. Yeah. So I guess having that kind of situation where you go to these different places and you play, 230 to 250, must have given you a fair amount of confidence coming out of YBC and going into the adult ranks and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I would have said if I had just gone into the adult ranks straight from when I left Manitoba, I wouldn't have had the same amount of confidence then,
Fair.
because it was again, I was only, the 2 tournaments a year kind of thing I was throwing. So I wasn't gaining enough confidence to have that confidence full time. But then once I moved to Thunder Bay, I started being surrounded by, more competitive bowling, and that was kind of when I got my first actual coach who kind of not necessarily tried to fix me technically, but was able to pick up on small things like speed, whether I was dropping my shoulder more, whether I was standing upright when I shouldn't have been.
Fair enough. And who was that coach?
So that coach was actually Taylor Michelle's dad.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he
That's
was the
awesome.
one. He kind of pushed me. I showed up, first day. He kind of just watched, saw me bowl. Funny story actually, for when the first day I showed up to Thunder Bay, I'd never bowled in any of their centers, didn't know anyone, just and I showed up wearing all my Manitoba national gear, Manitoba bag, all that. In my head, not even thinking how it looked. Showed up, first game out, no one knows who I am. First game 3, next game 290, next game 220. So put up a 900. No, everyone didn't really talk to many people. Left, didn't show up for like another 2 weeks. I had a bunch of people wondering, just they're like, "Oh, who's that guy? Who's that guy?"
Just creating a hype around yourself, eh? I love it.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, too bad Taylor Michelle's dad didn't teach him.
They're too similar of people. There was too much headbutting there.
There's someone similar to Taylor?
You would think it's hard, but yeah,
It's almost mind-blowing, honestly. That's hilarious. So did you, what were your successes in YBC? Did you have any like major successes in YBC, or was it...
so for YBC, I went to 5 nationals for YBC.
Awesome.
I did in 2009. I went with a team from Quarry Lanes. That we definitely weren't a team of a national caliber to be going. That was kind of like a national where just to get my feet wet, kind of get the experience, but it definitely wasn't one where we were competitive in our games. I think we had 2 or 3 wins in 21 games.
Fair enough.
But then the next year I ended up making it as a single to go to Gatineau. And that year I ended up coming 5th or 6th. And again, like it was a closer one. I think that year Evan won or came 2nd.
Yeah.
But then my final YBC for Manitoba was in 2014. That was when it was in Winnipeg.
Okay.
And that was actually the first year for Manitoba when we switched our 4 steps qualifying to a match play at provincials.
Oh, really?
So zone was a scratch 4-game qualifier, 5-game qualifier, and then we went to a double round robin at provincials for match play.
Interesting. And it was straight match play. There was no like pinfall plus bonus or anything
No.
like that. Just straight match play.
No, just straight match play. They did it over 2 days. They did 4 games one day, 4 games the next.
Crazy. So you obviously did well in that format.
Yeah, so I think I actually came 3rd average wise that year. But it was mostly because, the guys who had higher averages shot like 380 or 360 one game.
Yeah.
And then for the most part, otherwise I was, in that consistently 240 to 300 range. But I think one of the bowlers that year was actually Ryan Manzel. You might know his brother Brandon.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, him and I bowled against each pretty much every year. It was always we either saw each other at zones or provincials. Just because where my lanes were, we often got thrown around from zone to zone. they would kind of shuffle up the Winnipeg
Yeah.
zones, and because I'm on the outskirts and I'm a smaller house, they kind of just would throw me, be like, hey, okay, this year you're with Rossmere, this year you're with St. James.
Totally. Yeah, we have a few zones out here for YBC that do the same thing. That's yeah, just depending on numbers or whatever for that year. So where did you end up at nationals? Where did you end up finishing up that year?
So that year I ended up actually in a gold medal tiebreaker game.
Crazy.
So that, yeah, that one was actually, it was looking like I was going to just have the gold, because I was watching the match beside me in like the second last game, I think it was, and Saskatchewan was bowling Northwest Territories, and the guy from Northwest Territories, I believe it was Aaron Hardy, he put up a 342 or 332, highest game he's ever thrown, and the guy from Saskatchewan struck out for 336, or like to win by like 4.
Wow. That's
But it was,
crazy.
but it was funny watching the win, because the guy, Aaron from Northwest Territories, was probably way more excited than the guy from Saskatchewan was.
Oh, totally.
Like he's going through, he's throwing hands, he's like high five, and everyone's just hyping him up, because I think he said before that his high game was like 260, 270.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And then throws it when he needs to as well. Like at that stage, that's awesome. So
Well, yeah.
you said you ended up in a gold medal tiebreak game. The way you say that tells me you lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, so that tournament was at Academy Lanes back when it was still a thing.
Right.
And so the way they did the tiebreakers was they did all the tiebreakers upstairs, because that's when it had like that auditorium kind of
Yeah.
seating in the back.
Because it was like an old theater or something, wasn't it?
I
Yeah.
think that's what it was.
It
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so they ended up they took a short break, and then they ended up filling like all that seating back there, plus the floor seating behind us. So then it started well. It was one of those games where, started with a double, had my confidence going. He kind of started slow, and then went back to back aces, and he ran like 7 or 8 in a row.
Oh man.
Wow.
So
Crazy.
yeah, he kind of grabbed the momentum and just ran with it.
I bet you that was a super neat experience, though, just being in front of all those people, just only watching you. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's one of those ones where like, how often do you get to play that kind of match in a hometown
Yeah.
crowd setting?
In that setup too, like that Academy Lanes was pretty cool, having that large back area. I know me and Tim, we weren't sitting watching bowling. That's a giant push area, from what I understood.
Yeah, we might have been a little bit obnoxious and loud, and we were told to leave. But it was enjoyable, for
It
sure.
wasn't a YBC national event, so we were fine.
No. It was just at a Masters during a gold medal match.
No, but that's still that's super cool. What a great experience. Now you're all set to make a tour finals or something. You'll feel just totally normal.
Yeah, that's the hope. Fingers crossed for this year.
That's right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd probably have to say Northern Ontario, just because I wasn't involved in the bowling scene in Manitoba, really. Just because my lanes weren't directly, the owners weren't the kind to directly kind of be in the bowling community. So like things like, I never even knew Youth Challenge was a thing until I went to Northern Ontario.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it was kind of one of those things where, and just the bowling community out there that I got involved with, it was a lot of competitive guys. There's a lot of just really nice guys out there to bowl with, just great guys all around. So I feel like if you ask me that question in maybe 5 years, once I've kind of dove myself back into the Manitoba community, at least give me the year, Brett. Come on.
I like this. I think this is a dig to us calling the East.
Basically,
Not
Northern Ontario might as well join Manitoba.
Yeah. So, speaking of Northern Ontario, you had a couple. We can probably talk about a little bit about the Open. To start off with, you represented the Open for a few years out there. What is your favorite experience out there?
Well, I actually only went to the Nationals the 1 year for the Open out there. It would have been the other year would have been 2019, but there was a small hiccup on my part with some scheduling conflicts.
I think we've heard of this in another podcast.
Yeah, I think this came up in Taylor's podcast.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so I mean that would have been a pretty good year. I've never been out to BC, but no, I definitely think that the 20 uh, uh my favorite Open experience overall. That was kind of a unique one too. Like we went with a pretty solid team all around. And it was I think by the end first day I think the first day was the only day I ever started matches. After that, we had a strategy going of I was consistently the bench player for that tournament.
Yep.
Which kind of started because so there was a weird frame in that tournament. Carrie, I think you were at that tournament, right? The 2018 Open?
Where was it? Sorry, you have to
Gatineau.
remind
That
me.
was
Gatineau.
Gatineau.
Yes. Yes, I was at that tournament.
Yeah. So one of my matches against Saskatchewan, we were on lanes 3 and 4.
At
And it's-
Unique. Yeah.
Yeah, at a Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think I was second or third in the lineup. Went up first ball, and for you guys probably know that my ball is down before the foul line. So first shot I threw, I ramped up, hit that field. So
Sorry, could you say that one more time?
oh okay. Yeah, so I put the ball down, ball ramped off the foul line, took out the shield.
Right.
So I
That-
thought, I experienced that yet there.
Yeah.
So then second ball comes around and I'm like, okay, I'll just throw the exact same shot. It was just a fluke. Ended up going, did the same thing, put the ball over the shield this time. So then by this point, I'm just rattled. Like I have no
totally.
idea what to do.
Yeah.
Like, so I went up there. I slowed my approach probably to 50% and this ball and ended up picking a deuce. So
0-0
so-
deuce.
yeah, so
At least
open
that
frame.
ball counted.
Yeah. So yeah, so open frame was two point.
Oh my god.
That team was coached by Bob Taylor.
Okay.
So Bob pulls me aside and he's like, "Are we gonna have a problem?"
Like he's gonna fight you?
Yeah. So he's like, so I'm like nervously, I'm like, no, like I'm like, okay, give me one ball. If I miss the middle, hit the foul line, anything, you can pull me. I think I ended up shooting about 252 or something.
That's crazy.
I couldn't
You
imagine.
might have
What,
been like this. If you threw one more bad shot, you might have been the second fastest pull from Northern Ontario ever. That was the year they ended up pulling out all the lane guards, though, right?
The
Correct.
second
Yeah.
day, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it was, there was a guy from I think it was from Nova Scotia, who, I think he had about 8 or 9 dead balls in like the first 4 or 5 games, so.
Yeah.
And ultimately at no fault of their own either.
Yeah. I think everybody on our team, except for maybe Gino, I think we all had at least one dead ball that first day. And it was just like you can't compete when you can't trust the foul line, right?
Mm-hmm. so,
Yeah.
Tyson, tell me what Greg's facial expression was, because I can imagine it was lovely.
Oh, I didn't even have the courage to look him in the eye.
Well,
That was pretty much I almost had my match. I think I ended up actually being high game for us that game too.
So I guess tell us what we can talk about mental game here. I mean, how do you get yourself out of that funk, or how do you get confidence or believe in your shot when you know is a possibility?
So that with that one in particular, I ended up moving my approach up about 16 inches. So so my normal slide, I finish about 3 or 4 inches from the line. So I kind of went and I shortened up a few strides, and I cut off a couple inches from my slide. But in the end, I kind of just told myself, I'm like, hey, you know what? It's so far it just seems like these lanes in particular, just throw your same shot. You've moved up far enough. You should be over the line now. And I'm like, you know what? If you throw one bad ball, you know you're getting pulled. So it's just going to be one bad ball.
And when you move that far up and you reduce your slide, it makes it way harder to get down over your shot too. It's giving you a way better opportunity to get that, just a couple of inches lift, which is all you really need, right? So, yeah, that's a solid adjustment. It's impressive you kept your composure. That's for sure.
I think it was just a lot of, I think, because I was so nervous. I think the first ball I actually threw after that, I think I probably put it like about 2 feet past the foul line, like, which for me is basically a throw out for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that shot only comes out when you're pissed off or something.
Not even then. Usually when I'm pissed off, I usually kind of bury it into the approach.
So I kind of want to add a little bit to the story because I think Alberta might have had the first bye. We roll into the lanes about half hour into the game or whatever, and we're kind of looking to see how people are playing. And I'm pretty sure because Tweety was our coach, he like pointed out the first frame that you had, and he's like, "Who is this guy?" And then we found out that there was dead ball problems. But yeah, we're like 0-0-2. What is going on?
The one thing that's like super disappointing about this, and like I don't like complaining about centers because like it's tough, but the fact is we went back there for Masters Nationals a year later, and the foul lines were still a major problem. And like at that point, like you had a year to take a belt sander to it, like that's all you gotta do, So I mean, I know it's scary, but like you're holding nationals, you should probably get those fixed up,
Yeah.
Now, is that an approach problem or a lane problem?
There's an actual foul line that's a board that is in between it. So
Oh,
the
okay.
foul line is a separate piece, and they will crack. They will get cracked, and then just vibration will push them out. But you can push them back down, or you can sand them, or we use Inject-A-Patch on them all the time too, like
Or nail them?
Yeah, exactly. There's little things that you can do to fix them or replace them. You can replace them completely.
Yeah, and Nick had other problems too. Like I think it was lanes 5 and 6. They had a patch on the left side of. I think lane 6 was lifted a bit too, about 10 feet out on the lane and stuff like that. So they were having some issues. I don't know if it was weather problems or water problems or what was going on,
Yeah.
but. It's a large center. They got duck pin on the other side. They got lots going on, and it's obviously not an excuse or anything like that, but totally understandable. Like it's unfortunately you're hosting a national event. The bowlers obviously wish it was in the best condition possible, but we did with what we had to. They removed the loft guards to help avoid that dead ball situation, and
Yeah,
it was a fun national.
They had a lot, like even at Masters there, they had a lot of the lanes with the laminate lifting, and it's all bubbled up in the middle. Which honestly, like it's different. It you don't really know what's gonna happen, but what it does do is it teaches you how to play different lines. Like you got the people that can adjust and play different lines and shoot around those situations. Definitely succeeded far more. So it was kind of neat. It was interesting. Like. It was interesting even talking with teammates at Masters and being like, okay, what do you think I should do? I'm like, well, I think you should move this way and play this line and whatever. And it was fun even with Weber. Even with Weber, like half giving him like line tips and stuff, it was interesting. It's a unique experience, but we are supposed to be the best in the country, so find find what works and make the adjustments.
Yep. Yep. Because if you don't, somebody else will, and then you won't be winning, right?
Yep, absolutely.
But
So I guess how did you guys end up at nationals that year?
That year we ended up well, we finished third that year. We ended up playing in the 2-3 match. So, and that was the year where all of our matches between us and Ontario were decided by, I think, 10 pins or less.
Okay. Wow.
So, I think like the one match was like 1497 to 1488 or something. Like it was just an absolute shootout. But then so it was actually funny. So after that two pin frame game, like that was the last game I started for the tournament. Not because necessarily because of that, but because after that we just started to find a formula where I think it was the last game of the day. I came in off the bench for 2 frames, shot 60. We won the game. We were like, you know what, we won the game. So next day we started with the same lineup. I came in off the bench against Ontario, against DJ Villeneuve,
Yeah.
and I ended up coming off the bench, running 6 in a row to finish. So then, and then the next game, so we were like, oh, Bob's like, next game, he's like, oh, you're starting. And we decided, as a team, we kind of went and said, you know what, no, the winning formula right now seems to be start this lineup. I'll come in when necessary if we need someone.
Totally.
And so did the same thing the next game. I think I was actually playing you guys, Carrie, and I came in against like Gino or maybe even you, and I came in and shot 4 in a row and a head pin to finish. And you know what, we kind of just saw that strategy working, and Bob kept, every few games, Bob be like, you sure you don't want to start? You sure you don't want to start? And I'm like, I'm here for the team to win. Like that's the goal of national, and for me to try to start as many games as I can.
That is the absolute right attitude. That is the best attitude. And honestly, finding someone who is a good bench player and that can come off the bench and they can have confidence in coming in off the bench just makes everybody so much more comfortable too. You don't have to sit there and stress about how you're playing, because if you do struggle, you have somebody that's going to be able to come in and do well. And plus, you're a young guy, like, loosening up. I can't imagine, like, Gino coming off the bench has got to be tough. Trying to warm up those old limbs or something like that. So, you have a pretty simple, easy style. You're not going to hurt yourself, and you're able to pick it up really quick, and that's... having a strong bench player is a huge asset in the Open for sure.
Well, I know just talking with the guys throughout the tournament and even after, yeah, a lot of them said it was having that assurance where they're like, hey, when I'm struggling, I know that if I struggle a couple frames, I can just be pulled, reset my mind, let you come in, and then come back the next game and kind of just start fresh.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes it's just the winning formula. You're right, and if it works, it works. But yeah, finding someone like yourself is a big key to winning for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think, and the thing is, we had such a strong core group of guys for that team. That was probably been one of my favorite teams to go with for any nationals, I'd say. But like even provincials, low average on the team was like 248, 249. We go to nationals, low average on the team was again like 247. So and everyone was kind of in that 247 to 265 range. So you always knew you knew that you weren't having to carry, say, someone the whole time, or it wasn't on one guy's shoulders the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Who was all on that team?
So that team was me, John Wilcott, Wes Swallock, Dan Taylor, Taylor Michelle, and Greg DeGrazia.
Oh, that's a really solid team. John had some really nice nice words to say about you coming on podcast today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Some boat scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, that sounds about right.
So you've had more success in Masters.
John's a
than
good
you
guy.
played Masters. No, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. So yeah. No. Masters. I played every year that I played Masters.
Awesome.
I played
So
Nationals.
your first. Yep.
And again, I was gonna say it's just a matter of out here or in Northern Ontario. It was a different group of Masters. A lot of our Opens players didn't play it, so like the Taylors, the Gregs, the Dans, those guys. Just how we have our Masters set up. It wasn't a format that pertained to them.
Yeah, that's totally fair. You get to play with some other people though, and that sometimes that's okay. I mean, Roger is one of my favorite people. That guy makes me laugh super hard every time I see him. So, yeah.
Him and Nikki were actually some of the first coaches I ended up having in Northern Ontario when I went to Youth Challenge Nationals.
Crazy. That's really small world. One of our staff members, Kyle, they turned out to be his aunt and uncle.
No way. That's wow. That's
Yeah.
a long way to make that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's neat. It's always really cool seeing those two. But yeah, so do you have a favorite memory from Masters? Do you prefer the team or do you prefer singles?
I mean, I'm probably going to say I prefer the team when I was out there, just because typically, like, we'd have all right teams, but the teams weren't necessarily competing medal-wise each year. Whereas with the single, it was definitely more of I felt like very medal-driven, where I could show up that day, bowl well, and then I'm going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
But overall, I have a couple. I'd probably say one of them, and I'll give a shout out to Fred Martin for this one, was during the 2018 Masters when it was in Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
So that was so it was the last match of the tournament. We were playing against Quebec, and Quebec and us were both, bottom in the standings. The game really meant nothing. So me and Fred bet a drink on the game. Fred and I have bowled against each other for Youth Challenge, YBC. We're the same age, so we run into each other all the time. And so it ended up being, first ball, he goes up, he throws the ball, and then turns off, doesn't even watch, hits the strike. I walk up thinking, oh, he did it, I can do it. So I throw my ball, I pretty much turn almost mid-slide. I thought it was pocket out of my hand, threw it, ended up burying a corner. So I had just all of my team, Quebec, they're just sitting there killing themselves laughing because I'm like, okay, I got this. Don't look back and everything will fall. But we ended up getting to the final. It ended up coming down to final frame. I think I threw a spare. He threw a strike, or he threw a double to start, and he had pretty much clinched it. Like, he was up, I think 13 at that point. And so he walks up to the foul line, looks back at me, winks, and throws his ball in the gutter.
Was the team match all done too?
I think so. I think it was. I don't think anyone was actually caring at that point about the team totals and that for that match.
That's fair.
But yeah, I think we had lost that one too.
That's ballsy.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. That's funny.
Yeah, so I told him I was going to call him on a technical and see if that gave him a foul or anything. No,
No,
didn't think
unfortunately
so.
not.
Yeah, so that was a sour drink I had to give him.
It's all good though.
Uh,
But yeah, you in 2019, obviously you got the bronze medal as singles. You played very well. It's a different experience, right, altogether compared to a team.
Well, yeah, I think it's a lot. It's a lot different when you only have that one person from your province being with you. At the same time, like they're cheering for you, but they're focused on themselves. So like a lot of it, you still are. It's still you by yourself. You just happen to have that one person kind of sitting back with you. If you really need, you can go to them.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, it just kind of gives you a little bit of comfort, just somebody you know that you can be around, but you can't really expect a whole lot of coaching or anything from them, sort of thing. It's you're still doing your own sort of thing, but yeah, just having somebody to hang out with and have somebody down in the pit is. I mean, there's a reason why you have coaches go down for matches or just to sit in the pit with people, even too during like, the final matches there or whatever. So it makes sense.
Well, and that's where I was at least happy. I had family out. My mom had come to watch, and so I always had. If I really needed, my mom has watched me for enough years. She would come and kind of be in my ear, and she'd be like, "Hey," like she doesn't necessarily know the technical side as well, but she can point out this from frame to frame.
Mm-hmm.
Where she'll be like, "Hey, you know what? You kind of look like you were falling over on this shot." She's like, "Or it looked like your foot kind of stuck." And so something that I might not have caught in the moment, just say focusing on say the follow through, and something goes wrong with my slide. It was kind of nice to just have one or two people sitting back who could kind of catch that.
Yeah, totally.
But
Yeah, yeah, you had a pretty big support group there that year. I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, you had any of the guys there, like all the guys that we were competing against that year were just great guys. So if I was having issues, like Kyle Young helped me out a lot that year too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not specifically the games I was bowling against him, but didn't really need that.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, for people that don't know, I don't think Kyle beat you, did he?
He did not. For about 9 frames every game, but
Sounds like he was graciously donating them to you.
yeah, there were a couple less than stellar finishes. But it's all good. Kyle's a great guy.
So who did you face? Did you face Cody
Yeah, so I faced
in the bronze medal? Or
no,
the
sorry,
2-3?
I faced Tim in the 2-3.
Oh, Tim was in the 2-3.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that was a good game. I think it ended up being both 15 pins.
We both shot well. I think it came down to like 9-10 both times.
Yeah, I think it was like 560 to 580 kind of double.
Yeah.
That's solid.
Yeah. I know the first game was a little bit of nerves. I know I started a bit slow there. Just first time with the lights kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different feel having those lights kind of shining right on you. It had been quite a while since you've had that kind of crowd behind you just focusing on you.
Yeah.
Plus at that time Tim had a slightly bigger crowd, so
I don't think that honestly I don't think that matters. I mean that's one of your questions we can talk about a little bit later, right? But it was a little bit different. I mean you had maybe a little bit less experience. Not saying that was beneficial to me in that aspect, but playing on the lights with the tour finals and all that, I think it was a little bit easier for me to handle that. I was a little bit used to it, right? So, yeah.
well, for sure. I think it's just a comfort thing, especially when like the lights are kind of in front of you. Like they're not just behind you. There's still something. I'm bad for my peripheral. Like I tend to lose focus sometimes when there's new things. So I'm like, I might be throwing and then something might catch my eye. So I'll do that kind of split second look away.
Yeah.
And then I gotta like come back, and by that point, there's no way I can pull my shot back. So it's basically kind of find a rough mark that I think will work and kind of just field bowl it.
That's fair. Honestly, in the last like 3, 4, 5 years, I've normally my focus is really good, but lately, I'll come up onto the approach of course I'll just match up with somebody like 2 lanes over, and the second I do that and we're both moving at the same time, I'm screwed. Just absolutely screwed. It always seems to be Brad Titcat too for some reason.
Yeah.
We always end up moving at the same time, 2 to 3 lanes apart. I'm like, oh my god, stop! I'll wait for him. I'll wait for him specifically. Yeah.
The big thing too there is we had a big delay because they were trying to put the camera crew in there after the tournament men through their last 3 games there. So they ran the camera crew in there, and then all of a sudden the camera crew wasn't working, and all his other stuff wasn't there, and then so we made us warm up, and they told us not to warm up, and it was just and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, by the way, you're playing now. I was like, okay, that's cool. So it was just a multitude of everything that was going on, right? So the first game was a little bit weird for sure.
Yeah, I think by the second game, both of us kind of were, more in our rhythms. It was more of a true, like there was no nerves necessarily. It was just straight bowling skill at that point, and better. Sad to say, better man won that game.
Don't say that.
You should have never said that.
Admit that.
His head just got a lot bigger.
Brett Hendrickson, I've been waiting for this one. He has a question to ask you there. He said, what steps did you have to take to get over your loss? I'm sure it was a long process considering who it was from.
Well, considering I haven't really gone back to Masters since, it was quite devastating.
Still getting over it.
It was so devastating I had to move provinces.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But, well, moving forward, we have some topics that Tyson actually prepared for us here, and we can maybe have a little bit of discussion with it. Some of them we maybe already discussed during the podcast, but it's a good way of seeing what our opinions are. Is bowling a sport that requires a team captain, and if yes, is there any benefits to it?
Who wants to answer first?
Okay, I think, do we need a designated team captain? I don't know. But I feel like every time that we're in one of these sort of national championships or provincial championships or whatever, there's usually one person, maybe a second person, that kind of steps up and takes the reins of that regardless. And it's just, you hear your coach's voice all the time, and that's what they're there for, and they're there to help. But, sometimes there's certain situations where you need somebody on your own team to kick you in the ass or sit down and just have, a good team chat and just a positive chat without the coach, and it doesn't all have to be driven from them. I think that there usually is a person that steps up and is super positive and supportive, and I do think that there is a benefit to that for sure, because it just sets the tone to the rest of the team. You need the people at the top, the people that you expect to be at the top for that team, to lead by example. So I think there is, yeah.
I agree. I think maybe it's not appointed that you're a team captain, but I think experience really has a lot to weigh with being a team captain. I mean, for many years, for example, like we've had a Bruce Mortar, and as soon as Bruce is on the team, he maybe not want to be a team captain, but people look up to him and follow and lead by example, right? No different in Kerry and probably with Gino down there, right? So in Central, Gino's on the team, people listen to Gino and follow what he does, right? So I think it's important just to experience it a long ways. It's not saying it's team captain, but a leader also, most of the times throws that key shot when you want it, right? And you kind of have that kind of designated a little bit. It just happens to be maybe that person a little bit. Somebody like, Adam's done it for us up here. Schultz has done it for us, But I think it's very important that there is some leadership, right? Whether it's a designated team captain or not, there has to be in order to be a successful team, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm kind of along the same lines to you guys. I don't think there needs to be like a designated team captain, but there's always that one player that is going to take the reins. As much as the coach is involved, and maybe they are a great player or were a great player, or like maybe they still are and just didn't happen to make that team that year. It's different in the pit with another player that you're playing with here. Thanks, Tim. Just ditched.
Wow, no one needed to see my face that close.
It's different when that player's in the pit with you, and they don't have to be the best player on the team or the most experienced player. They just have to be the person that knows how to motivate, I guess, the rest of the team, know what to say, because that coach overbearing a little bit on your shoulder, always talking to you, it can even drive you the wrong way. But your teammate in the pit may be saying the same thing. You might take it a different way, a more motivated way, right?
Yep.
I think you need somebody that takes that. I don't think they need to be appointed, but I think you know who that person is when you're in the pit. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was kind of where I was wondering, was not necessarily that, like you guys said, like it doesn't have to be someone appointed, but it's always, that one guy on the team that tends to be where everyone's looking to. Like, whether, people are struggling, you always look for that one guy who maybe is always, that positive face on your team. Or like, I'm like, for the Opens team I had, it was definitely, I would say, Wes Swallock. Wes is he always has a great attitude. If you always go to him, he's always there to help. Like, as much as, like, say,
Greg?
if I want death glares, I will go to Greg.
Yeah.
If I want negative reinforcement, Greg.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair. I guess that's the same way you look at. We've all had experiences at nationals where you think the person that should be that team captain turns out that they're not. Maybe they're not in the right mindset to be that person, right? So you're hoping somebody else steps up and takes over instead of always looking to them, right?
And I think that's the reason why I think it's a good thing that it isn't appointed, because at the end of the day, that means that the person that wants to do it, the person that does it naturally, will be the person that steps up and does it. It's somebody that wants to be in that position. So I think that's I think it's good that it's not appointed. I like JB's comment here. You need a captain just to stay out of the bystander effect, and that's so true too. It's a long grind during these tournaments, and there's lots of times where you can start seeing teams, have lulls in energy, and just it's really easy if you're tired to sit there and just kind of drift along for 4 or 5 frames, and by the time you do that, that's game over. Right, so you need somebody that's positive to recognize that and kind of drag people back into that moment again as quickly as they can. So I really think it's something that is important.
Yeah, and I think we've had coaches that put us and helped us out there, but I think about 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 times it's mostly a player that gets you back in focus, more or less, right? So
yeah, because they're in it with you, right? If they're playing well, they know what's going on. They can maybe help you. The coach can only see what you're doing, and I don't think they put 2 and 2 together how to correct what's going on, right? Where hopefully the teammate realizes what's happening, because they're feeling the exact same thing and they can adjust, right? Just my thoughts. We've dealt with it, so knowing that, I think you definitely need somebody that picks you up for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Tyson, approach conditions. I know we talked a little bit about this, maybe with your unique, faux pas. But how do you adjust faster or slow?
So that was actually a question I was going to propose to you guys, because I know I've talked to Tim and Dex a little bit about this. Out here, specifically, I've been bowling at St. James and finding the approaches, very heavy. They're normally very heavy, but even during the summer, I find them even more so.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really kind of trying to work out a good way to adjust my slide so that I know, because right now I'm almost dangerously close to, blowing out my knee because I'm coming to such a harsh stop right now.
Yeah.
And I'm throwing with an S8 slider and an H7 heel. So like
Yeah.
I don't really have a whole lot of room to go up from there.
Well, there is a big difference between an S8 and an S12. Like a big difference. So I would
even a 10.
Yeah. So I would definitely have those in hand. For those people listening, like this is really ultimately the advent of having changeable sliders and heels has been absolutely massive. And I'll be honest, I was stubborn and I hardly changed anything until probably 3 or 4 years ago. And then I decided to, actually start playing around with it. In Sherwood Park, I use an S2 and an H1. Like, literally the slowest combinations, just because I like a bit of a heavier approach so I can be a little bit more aggressive with my slide. But, going into places like, at the time, I was going into Golden Mile when Sherwood Park was still wood, and I'd go to Golden Mile, and I would slide forever, and I was terrible. It put my shoulder down, I couldn't handle it, I couldn't slow my approach enough and my drive enough and still be aggressive while maintaining balance with that sort of slide. So honestly, I know creating your own shoes is a major trend right now, and I understand it completely. But if you can, please make sure that you try to make it so for adjustable sliders and heels, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to make those adjustments. You want to try to do as many things as you can to maintain your normal shot over having to adjust big time with your approach. So you don't want to screw up your timing and stuff like that. If you can't and it's still super heavy, move up a little and like slow your feet down a little bit as much as you can. I like it. I just drive harder. I just start driving harder into it.
You can be more aggressive with it, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's funny. Kerry will probably tell you that he's the opposite. He has the S2s and the S3, 4s, and I don't know how he hasn't blown out a knee yet. But a biggest thing I should do this, but each center I play at, I have a heel and slider combination, and you should. If you are serious about it and you play enough centers, you maybe should get a little book and write it down and just remember, date it or whatever it is, because I go to Bonnie Doon, I'm using an S10. I go to Sherwood Park, I'm using an S7, or I'm going here and I'm using like an S8 here, right? And I remember all these things, and there's gonna be a point where I don't remember. But I think it's very important that you guys, each center plays totally differently. Like St. Albert, it's ridiculous, right? And it's heavy, and so highly recommend interchanging heels and sliders. I think that's a huge difference. I know Lenny mentioned about you can get those. I think they're through Brunswick, where you can slide them over top of your. Eric Schoes has that. And that's not so bad either, right? I haven't used it, but I hear it's useful, right? So, but make sure you write down your notes and use it if you can adjust that way with heels and sliders. If not, move up. Try to stop running at the line and try to do that a little bit easier on your knees and your back, right?
So there's a little bit of difference here too. It depends if you're a toe slider or if you're a full foot slider, right? Like a lot of people are now with all the interchangeables, they slide full footed. They don't usually use the brake as a brake. It's just a friction loss, or they use the friction to slow them down eventually, right? So even going from your H7, you can switch out that H heel and put an S2 on or an S4, right? You can shape that S to fit your heel as well, right? So you can create an exorbitant amount of combinations to adapt to that. But the main thing I found when getting to heavy approaches and I didn't feel like changing a heel out was going to correct the issue or whatever, was just making sure I stayed behind my knee and kept my knee in front of me, and then that way I took a lot of the stress off of it.
Yeah.
Right.
right? And you don't get that step out where you cause the torque on your knee. You stay behind your knee and you keep the joint in line, and hopefully it alleviates a lot of that stress going on.
So I'll be honest, that's like I completely agree with you 100%. It's just not really an option to me because I slide outwards. So I mean, I guess cameras are reversed, but my left foot when I slide will actually turn left.
And your
while I'm
heel
sliding.
kick out towards like perpendicular to the
my,
line.
My
yeah.
heel will stay where my
Parallel.
ankle is, but
Yeah.
my left foot the toes will turn left.
Yeah.
So I'm already putting all that torque on my heel anyway. So I don't know how much of a difference that would really make for me as much. But
Right.
I completely agree with what you're saying. Absolutely.
I make sure, like, you're right, Carrie. Knee bend's huge, right? So, just I always try to stay behind my knee on that. Honestly, Tyson, prime example when we played Perry down in Quebec. 3 different days, 3 different conditions we played on, right?
Yeah.
And it was so easy just to go in my bag. I have, Carrie knows, and most of us know, I have like every heel and slider in my bag. I can pull out which one I want, and I feel comfortable after a few slides. It is interesting that Carrie did mention about using a slider, interchangeable slider on your heel. Schultz does that for a while. It's no different again, a leather piece on your shoe, and I used it in 2014 Nationals in Ontario, and it was amazing. Like there was no friction or no restriction or whatsoever on it. So.
Or you just switch the bocce style like Cindy. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
No. Cindy has sliders on both her feet,
Oh,
Oh, okay.
and she has SSTs. So
But yeah, I think an H7
Yeah.
would be the equivalent to an S4.
Yeah.
If I'm right.
Right.
So yeah, you could definitely increase those, but just for the listeners out there, and I've said this lots about even just picking a line and picking a ball, just make good use of your practice time. Don't use your practice time to just throw balls and get warmed up. That's not always what it's just about. If it's a center that you're at all the time, sure, that can be what it's for. But if you are at a different center and you have practice time, especially if you got lots of it, use that time. Use that time wisely. Find a line that you're getting pinfall you like. Find a ball that you're going to get pinfall you like. And then find a slider and a heel combination that makes you feel comfortable right away. Utilize that time as best as you can.
yeah. Obviously, getting your footwork as consistent as possible to what you always do is obviously the end goal, right?
Yeah.
You simplify that as much as possible, and then you worry about the rest afterwards. Obviously, with St. James, probably with the humidity and stuff, it's gotten a lot slower. So hopefully, you find a combination that helps alleviate that, or you just slow your approach way down and try and keep that knee healthy, right? That's one of the worst injuries you can face as a 5-pin bowler, right? Is a hip or a knee injury, right? So
Well, and I'm actually in the process of building shoes, like you say, with the interchangeable, not the interchangeable heel as much, just because I'm a toe slider. So I just put an S4 on there, and I'm kind of just leaving it at that. I find it's probably a pretty easy middle ground. It's like you said, it's just that friction, enough to kind of just slow me, but
yeah,
I'm not using it as a breaker or a slider.
right.
But I started building those shoes in about January, February, and I've been waiting on sliders since about February or March.
Oh wow.
where'd you order them from?
Through Mike at St. James.
Oh, okay. Anyways, we have some in stock if you need some.
Jeez.
But yeah, I actually had Kyle Young was actually the one
Yeah.
who was for me. He's the one who threw the Velcro on me.
Yeah, I remember Kyle one. Didn't he have gold ones?
I think he's got like gold high tops.
Yeah. Gold high tops. Yes, I remember those ones. I remember you bringing them out. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, that's what I would suggest to our listeners. Try something different on that. I know some of you guys don't have the interchangeable heel and sliders. And if you have the SST 9s or you have the 9s, it wouldn't work out, right? So please keep that in mind as well. But yeah, Kerry came up with some good pointers, same as Dex, and hopefully Tyson Hopefully you learn some more to your game
But
there.
definitely go grab an S10. If you're
Yeah.
struggling
Yeah.
with an S8, grab an S10. And if that doesn't work, grab an S12.
Yeah. And
never
sometimes
know.
a brand new slider helps out too, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll just fall on your butt a couple times with an S12. Don't worry about that first.
Yeah, it's like you're on glass.
It's ridiculous.
That's good. I throw at Dakota on Tuesdays, and that's basically a skating rink. So
Well, you're getting ready for Sherwood.
yeah.
12's on for Sherwood.
Oh, yeah, don't do it. You'll end up at the pins.
To be honest with you, when TPC was in and we had a lot of people playing, it got heavier, right?
Yeah, it will.
Just because it got humidity in the place, the lanes got heavier, so I noticed that. It wasn't as bad. So, Tyson, as a coach, you notice multiple things that could be corrected. Do you have a hierarchy of what you could correct first, or would you correct first?
So I think it kind of touches on what Carrie said. Like, I typically always go and look at slide first. Like, I look at slide as your foundation to your shot. If your slide is all over, if it's inconsistent, that's like the easiest thing for me to change on someone. If I can say, hey, look, you're pushing off this way, then you're pushing off that way. That to me is where you're getting all your biggest inconsistency. The arm in that is always going to have, small inconsistencies between how much you're flicking your wrist, which finger it goes off of. That's just kind of the name of the game. Nothing's ever 100% consistent there. But when you have the slide, a lot of you guys, like, I bet you if we looked at any of your guys' slides and you did, that dot tracker that they do for, say, the 10-pin guys, that dot's going to be pretty small. Like, that's only going to be, maybe an inch or two max for where you're finishing that slide.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree 100%. The approach is number one. If you're using a roadmap to get to the foul line every time, good luck.
Yep.
You're going to be hitting different marks all the time. It doesn't matter how good of a field bowler you are. If you don't know where you're starting on the approach and where you're roughly ending on the approach, because nobody looks down at their feet when they're at the end of the approach, but if you're in the wrong spot usually when you end up. So if you don't know that, you're going to be so inconsistent. Everything else is going to be inconsistent, right?
Yeah, 100%. You can deviate 1 inch and your body knows it right away. You get that weird feeling across your entire body. It's like, nope, this is not where I'm supposed to be. And then that's when you start trying to make like quick adjustments partway through if you can't stop, that is. But I completely agree. It all starts with footwork. It's probably my biggest downfall at times. Yeah, 100% totally agree. Everything starts with that.
Rhythm and footwork. I don't know maybe that's a question. How do you guys fix it? Right, for you guys. I mean, for me, it all comes down to my first step and my length of my first step. I slide out my first step, and I find if I'm either too fast with it or if I'm really trying to make sure that I'm slow with it, sometimes I elongate it way too long and throws out my timing. So it really deals with that first step there more than anything. I know some people, their second step or whatnot, but for me, it's my first one.
Yeah, I find the first step kind of dictates everything. I made a transition over the last couple of years to move back to 4 steps, so it's not so noticeable now in my first step, but definitely in my second step, which would have been my original first step on 3 steps. So it's just finding that timing, like JB kind of said, timing differences and stuff. Kind of syncing everything up with your footwork, right, is what I find for keynotes for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy to think when your timing's a little bit off. I mean, for those people that your timing's a little bit off, you might not hit your mark all the time. Like, I don't know if you're Tyson. Are you a board like mark person, or are you a spot player?
I'm more of a spot feel kind of bowler.
Yeah.
So like I have a zone that I kind of do everything. No fixed mark.
Right. And I think honestly, the more people I know that we play with on tour and whatnot, it's more of a zone now. except for maybe the Genos and stuff like that. It's by board. So if your timing is a little bit off, maybe you lean to the right after you throw a ball, but you get it within that zone and you get enough lift on it, right, to finish, you can be able to, there is a give and a take to it, right? You don't have to be perfect all the time, right?
It's funny for me, like, most of the time, my speed differences with my approach, if I make mistakes with my approach, it doesn't really determine my line as much as it determines my lift. Like, if I'm quick to the line, my ball gets put down, it stays on the same line, but it ends up, like, you know, hitting the right side rather than the left, or missing right, or something like that. But yeah, my line seems to stay the same. It's just more the amount how much I get the ball out.
Do you guys find that too? Kind of what JB is saying here. Do you start your downswing on your arm at a certain step, or how do you time that up?
Actually, this is a really good comment, JB. Yeah. Okay. So there's two things that I do if my timing is like a little bit whacked, and as dumb as this sounds, it's like the old standard. I take 4 steps. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I will literally count it out in my head as I'm going along, and then just have one other cue in the way. If I'm not liking that, if I'm not feeling that at that time, I will do exactly what JB is saying here. Is I will get to the top of my backswing, and I will literally say in my approach, drive. And just a cue to, like, drive everything forward all at the same time, just to try to get that timing at the line right. So, yeah, those are the two things I would do.
Now you made me think about this, Kerry. I don't even think about my push away. I push out. So I push out. As soon as I start my first step, right, to keep my timing there. Yeah. I used to just drop it, and I don't know. One day I started pushing it out, and I got better. So that's how it kind of works.
Well, for sure. If you start pulling your arm back, just pulling your arm back, you have way more room you have way more room to make mistakes. For sure, it is far less consistent. It is way easier to push a ball to here, the same place every time. You start pulling it back, your timing is weird. It's in different spots all the time, and that also means that you got to pull everything forward too. So, just far less consistent without a follow or without a push away for sure. It's amazing how much I have to preach that to people like Derek Gall, for example. I had to preach to it for years. I was like, you got to start pushing it out.
So I guess building on that, do you guys let gravity pull your arm down, or do you push your arm down?
Gravity.
I'd say gravity.
You mean for your actual shot, like
for your backswing?
What backswing?
Oh, yeah.
Tyson doesn't have one.
He's got more backswing than follow through. Yeah, gravity, and then I'll get it to a point where I'll actually lock my elbow and stop it too. I can feel when it gets too high, and also I'll actually tighten up the triceps and stop the ball before it gets too high at times.
So the takeaway is gravity as well?
You mean like pushing it out?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't push it all the way out to the point where I lock my elbow. That's a guaranteed head pin. But it's like you push it out to like 3/4 of the way out and then let it drop. Yeah.
You're making me think. I don't even know. it just whenever it feels good. Just whenever it feels good, and I'm finished sliding my first step.
This is why you don't make adjustments.
Lasers from elbows, perfect.
Yeah, you know what, Len, and Cindy, we're gonna have a talk later. Okay, like that's just absolutely ridiculous. Oh God. All right, Tyson, what is the biggest roadblock stopping from a 230, 240 average bowler from being 250, 260 plus?
So yeah, again, that was kind of a question I was curious about what you guys thought. Like, I see a lot of bowlers who, like, that seems to be kind of like their plateau or where they end up falling. If they're the bowlers, say, who are only shooting once a week, they kind of seem like they could be 250 bowlers, 260. Is it just a matter of getting out and throwing more reps? Or do you think that the people who end up stopping there is more of a technical issue where to shore up either their slide or something they're doing with their arm?
I think it's finding where they're missing the pins, right? Yeah, it's probably not even technical or amount of practice. It might be maybe they don't spare their chop offs, or maybe they hit a certain side more often than the other side and they're not scoring as often on that side. It's finding where you're missing those pins first so you can decide what you need to practice on, because there's nothing worse than just going and throwing at the middle and that's all you do because you think you need to strike the score all the time. That is true, but that might not be where you're missing those pins. You might be striking 6-7 times a game, but you're missing chops, or you're missing right corner spares or something, right?
I think 99% of it is not going to be technical. Most of it is going to be mental. If you're averaging 230, 240, you've got all the building blocks there is for the technical side of the game. Now it's learning emotionally and learning learning adjustments and how to see the game a little bit differently at times too. Making adjustments is such a huge part of the game, and being able to trust those adjustments is equally as important. So, and I think also keeping your head in the right mental state as often as you can. I mean, it's hard. It's an emotional game. You're going to have some ups and downs, but the more that you can eliminate having those low moments, the better you're going to end up being. But I think technically you're going to have most of it, but go out and practice different lines, practice different things that are going to give you adjustments, and be comfortable with it, and then accept the bad shots, move on to the next shot, don't let it sink you, because that's a lot of it right there.
So I've always had a couple trains of thought with it. I mean, I know Kathy mentioned about between a striker game or picking up a spare. I've always wondered, like, what my average would be. I think I mentioned a few podcasts ago what my average would be if I actually cared on picking up my wood during league bowling. I mean, I average 260 plus. But, I mean, sometimes you just pick up a ball for second and third ball.
Do you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you this year?
Not on Thursdays.
No, 268 on Sunday. But anyways, point being is I think it is a little bit of that, but I agree. I think it's a lot of it's mental and confidence. A lot easier to score higher when you trust your process and trust your shot. But a lot of it's experience too. I mean, I can't tell you how many times maybe when you throw the third strike and then you're like, maybe have a little jitters for the fourth one. You haven't done that in a while. Then maybe the fifth one, right? It's controlling your breathing. It's controlling your emotions. It's controlling your highs to your lows. I mean, a lot of us here, you ever watch a tournament? Very rarely do we see somebody get a 180. And if we do, we can usually try to follow it up with something usually a little bit better. Or it's taking the 180 and maybe make it into a 225, right? And a lot of us, you know what, most of the time, when you have a 225, you don't even think about it. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. Go back the next game, you shoot a 300. It's just, it becomes more of a mental game than anything.
Okay, Len. Okay.
He's teeing off.
We had our Boxing Day tournament, and he shot 1,200 for his first set, and he's like, you know what?
1299.
1299. I'm going to change bowling balls to the next set because that feels like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Shush.
Lenny, let's talk about mental game. What about the one time during the Boxing Day tournament, maybe you went outside to get some medical help and you came inside and you said, what's this EDM stuff? It's really messing my mind right now. Right? Because whatever you're doing outside, that's a really good mental game there, Lenny.
Hey, Len. I don't know what they're talking about. Keep on doing you, bud. Keep doing you.
Yeah. Too funny.
But I think it's mental game. It's the same process every time. I know, like Tom Patterson preaches pre-shot routine. It's again the same process. It's positive thinking, I know a lot of you guys out there, when you're up there, when you're playing bad, sometimes you're thinking of all the things I got to do right. I mean, that's one thing. It's like, am I following through? Is my first step good or whatever? You've been like that, Tyson, right? You're overthinking. Somebody, I forget who it was a long time ago when I was a kid, was like, Lynn, yeah, he's like, you're thinking, mind you think of something positive. The one thing, you're doing something right, think of something positive. So, you know what, if my follow through is good or something like that, I let everything else go and I think of my follow through as something I'm doing right or my lift, and I end up somehow breaking out of that funk, right? So, a little bit easier that way.
So what are your thoughts on that, Tyson? Like, what do you think is the biggest roadblock stopping somebody from being an elite player from a high average player?
A lot to do with what JB says in terms of, I think it's that confidence and that trust in your shot. When you have someone going up there who, maybe you've hung a couple corners in a row and you gotta just, trust that that shot is still a good shot. Assuming like they were, pocket corner where, you just got a bad break or maybe your ball dove across or you're in the vicinity, you're right in the area. You gotta trust that you don't need that big adjustment. Because so many people want to see that where they see 2 or 3 corners in a row and they start getting worried that, you know what, I'm not doing something right, I'm not getting the right pinfall. No, just trust your shot. If you really want to do something, maybe you give it that little extra on the shot just to kind of drive it more into the pins. But I think it's definitely also a bit of an awareness at the lanes, because there's a lot of times when you'll get to the lane and you find yourself thinking about all these things and you just kind of gotta step back. I think give yourself that breather, let your heart rate kind of slow down, and times that's what I'll do. I'll have I might be on like a 3-bagger and then suddenly I start thinking, you know what, I'm like, oh, you know what, that last shot I was a little tilted, maybe I should try to stand a little straighter. But then I kind of step myself off and be like, you know what, just forget all that, just throw your shot, just do the exact same thing and trust in the process.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I'm gonna sit here and talk about this first statement about hanging corners. Again, I want to go back to sitting there and talking about, you talking about awareness, which is really important. I think again, using your practice time to find things again is super important, because you know what, you can go into a center and you can be throwing the best shot, something super comfortable, something that normally works all the time, and be absolutely burying it in whatever pocket you want to, and not getting the results, and you start getting corners, 5, 6, 7 corners in the game. Unfortunately, at especially the tour level and stuff like that, I don't think an adjustment is unwarranted. But it's a matter of knowing what those adjustments are and practicing them and being able to pick up what you can do to fix that. So again, you're talking about burrowing a corner. Well, if the ball's jumping in front, let's say you're hitting the right pocket and the ball is jumping in front of the right 2-pin, you're probably having too much of an angle coming into that right pocket. Try to move further right to try to drive the ball further into that pocket and try to deflect further into that left 3-pin. Goes behind that 2-pin, you will kind of want to move left to try to create a better angle for it. So that's an awareness with your game and an understanding of the physics of the game, which comes with time and comes with talking with the people. But I do think that there is a benefit to making those adjustments as long as you know what they are and you are comfortable with making them.
Yep.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that. I think, again, it's also just knowing your shot, knowing whether, whether throwing those corners, if you're having, like you said, the ball skip in front, is that something that you do consistently, or is that something that was just that ball?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Because it could be an offset pin and stuff like that too, right? Absolutely.
Yeah,
you don't want to do it on one shot. Sort of
yeah, you don't make an adjustment after maybe 2 or 3 corners. If they're the exact same hit and the exact same reaction, then you need to make an adjustment. But if you're getting 3-4 corners a game, I don't think that's a make or break. It just depends if you're opening up other frames. If you're striking the other frames, There's no loss in that.
I'll probably actually take more time on my corner spares than I will on my. I think missing a corner is more detrimental for your mental game than hanging a corner at 13 count on your first ball, right?
Yeah, any single pin conversion. If you're missing those, you need to concentrate more on them because they're huge. They're gift spares that you're missing, right?
Well, I know at Superior we always used to joke that the hardest spare to hit there was the head pin spare. Because there'd be so many guys, because the pin reaction off the back was so good, yeah, they would miss the 3-2, take out the other 3-2. And now mentally they're in their head thinking, oh, I already missed it once.
How am I going to hit this target pin?
It's like people saying the 12 spare is the hardest spare in the game. I'm like, no, thank you, JB. Yes. The 12 spare is the easiest spare in the game. You've got so much room for error, and you just got to hit one pin. It's so much easier than a corner. Like
No.
Oh, yes,
You throw
100%.
at corner spares way more. That
Oh,
better
Christ.
be your easiest spare.
Oh.
Better be your easiest spare.
Carrie, okay, how many chop offs do you get?
What was that?
How many chop offs do you get?
I don't know. Lots.
Right. So how often do you shoot at your 3-pin? And you don't have to
Lots.
worry about chairing it. It should be
Right.
the easiest friggin'
No,
spare in the game.
it's not.
You have
Chop.
3-4 more inches for room for error on the right hand side or
I
left
know,
hand side.
but it's not my easiest spare. My corners are, by far.
Yeah, it
bad
is.
mental game.
No, it's not like I missed the. It's not like I missed the 12 spare. I'm just saying corners are easier. They just are.
Head pin 3-2 is the toughest spare in the game, I think. Of the non-spare of the sparables, I think.
Like you mean your miss spare?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because there's so much more room for deflection and
Oh.
the miss, right?
Yeah, and you in your head you already missed the middle once. It's like, man, if I just it's already eating at you. So sometimes you just push the ball down the middle, right? And so you don't go pitch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dexter, on you and JB's 12 spare. Yeah, technically it better be the easiest spare, but I don't think people think of it as the easiest spare because the corner pin should be your highest percentage spare by far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Technically, yeah, you're 100% correct. There's so much more room for.
Thank you.
Yeah, technically, but it's not, and it never will be.
Don't worry,
I've
Carrie.
missed far less 12 spares than I have quarter spares.
Percentage-wise, I highly doubt it.
No, I'm pretty good at my 12
Hey,
spares.
JB, can you hack our system again and look at
let's check it out.
it? Yeah,
You miss one, and all of a sudden your percentage crashes. You miss one corner spare, you still got lots to pick.
Didn't you get a chop in the tour finals, not spare?
Fair, JB, fair.
Just like hash browns is breakfast.
All right, I want to mute you soon. All right. Final question for you, Tyson. If you only had one person in the stands watching you throw, who would it be and why?
This is a tough one. So, I mean, I feel like it'd have to go back to it'd probably have to be my mom. Like, if I'm going to have one person in the background, she's the one, she's watched me bowl whole life. She picks up on, the smallest cues that even coaches won't pick up on, other bowlers won't pick up on. She'll be like, I'll take a step off a lane, and she'll be like, you know what? I knew you didn't like that ball, because she's like, your eyes looked like 30 degrees downwards. And I'm like, I could have sworn I was just looking at the chair, and she's like, no, you didn't like that shot. And she's just the one that she always picks up on that thing. And I think I would want her to be the one there watching when it comes down to a big game. So, like, if I had the chance, say, for a gold medal match or a tour title match, that's the one behind me for sure. How about you guys? Who would you guys, if you guys can only have one person behind you, say tour finals, one person back there cheering for you, who's it going to be?
Cherry?
Mine's easy. Julie, she's been on tour with me 18 years. She knows my personality and when I'm not in it or when I'm making mistakes, she can help me at least get out of the funk or pick up on something I'm doing. Technically, probably not the best pick, but definitely for a mental game for sure.
Dex?
I'm gonna go same. Well, yeah. The person that came and watched me at tour finals this year, Katie. My best friend. Does she? I mean, she's never gonna coach me. Like, zero chance that she will ever give me any sort of. There's like, yeah, there's no way chance that she would ever give me any sort of advice, but she's got the same stupid sense of humor that I do, and you know, I need a person to chat to at all times. That's just kind of who I am as a person. Go figure. And yeah, she makes it way easier, way more comfortable. It would be Katie every time.
Me? I would like to say somebody that with a positive and calming demeanor to them, right? Cindy's been great on things when I needed somebody behind me. We haven't had much of a bowling experience together, but anything we've done together, it's been great. As in, she knows when I'm nervous or when I'm a little bit, have anxiety. She can calm me down. I think that's the main thing. Having somebody like that behind your corner, no different than you probably, Carrie, with Julie, because we already know our game already as it is. We just want somebody else there, right? So, yeah, that's Jesus, that's for sure. No, I'm Jesus and she's Mary, so. But
Mary Magdalene?
Is she your mom?
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm not even baptized. So I don't even know.
You just called Sydney your mom.
Oh, she. Oh, that's okay.
No, not necessarily. There's Mary Magdalene too.
Yeah,
Could have
that's
been
what
the
I was
whore.
going for. No. Anyways, well, that took us. I don't even know. Obviously, I get to go back to school, right? So,
Yikes.
anyways, no, you get my point. You get my point.
I love it. I love it. That's
I
why
am
these
low,
things
guys.
are live.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Man,
Well, guys, thankfully she takes everything in its good stride. But no, it sits on the couch. Ha! Thanks. Well, I'm red. If you can notice
You're still talking too.
Oh, I just.
You're just trying to cover up everything.
Anyways, it'd be Cindy probably. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, it'd be Cindy. Yeah. Oh,
Great
God.
answer. Great answer.
Awesome.
I'm not taking the easy way either. So no.
All right. Well, we should wrap up this podcast. We've been around here for 2 hours already. You guys listening to us. Just one note before we ask for Tyson's final words and all that good stuff. Check out Tom Patterson's new book, Success Driven Logic. You can inquire at successdrivenlogic@gmail.com. He's selling a workbook with it as well. You can find him on Facebook and all that good stuff. And yeah.
One other note too, we are doing the All-Star Draw, hashtag All-Star Draw. So if you guys want to get into that, do it now. Hashtag All-Star Draw.
Perfect. So any last words, Tyson?
No, not really. I just want to thank you guys for having me on here. I know it wasn't the intention originally tonight, but
Wow, Tim told you that? What a jerk.
Unreal. We've been trying to track you down for months.
Honestly, it's been you for as long as I can remember. We've been trying to get you on since number 4.
I know I was joking with my girlfriend about that, saying, "Oh yeah, they were basically begging me," and
No, not at all. We've always enjoyed your presence. We've loved having you around. You're also super fun to chat with, and you think the game very well. So no, you were not far down on our list.
oh, I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Number 90.
Yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys out on the tour soon, either Calgary or for sure Edmonton.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking
Tim, I
forward
need
to it, buddy.
I need a rematch, Tim.
Oh, Tim doesn't make cuts anymore. Don't worry about it.
He might now. That year off might have been the key he needed.
He might now that he's got his mom coming to watch him.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, man. Okay. Tyson, you're more than welcome to stick on while we do the draw and all that good stuff. All right. Before we do the draw, I just want to thank out to Alley Cat Brewing once again for the beer of the week. Appreciate it very much. Apparently, Dexter's got to pick up some more of our sponsorship.
I do.
And once again, to All Star Bowling Sales. Check them out. They got some pretty cool bowling balls on there. Pretty much anything you can think of, they can do. Pretty neat. All right. We have 11 entries. It's 1 out of 11. That's pretty good odds.
How did you do that in your head?
Genius. Technically a genius.
Still a genius.
Still correct. Kevin
McAlpine. Nice.
Didn't he won something before, did he not?
I have a hard time keeping track anymore.
Yeah, it's getting a little... We're giving away so much stuff. Hopefully people give us some stuff back. All right. Well, that's of course we said Kathy, are you talking about the book? Tom will be shipping, I do believe.
Yeah, it includes shipping prices.
Yeah. I don't know whether she's talking about the book, the beer,
probably the beer.
All-Star.
So at
they
you can go
do
to the
whatever
Shopify.
you're looking at.
You bet. So you can order right from their Shopify store, and they will ship to you as well.
Do Mangalorean 10 out of 10 beer.
Cindy got on the Mangalorean train. Yes.
Yeah.
It is solid. All right. Well, that's all for podcast number 108. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See